On this Sunday night, tariff pressures rattle Canadian-U.S. trade. The U.S. is threatening 35% tariffs on Canadian goods.
Canada is not open to us. They need to open their market.
As Canada stands firm, how the port of Churchill is seen as a potential trade lifeline. A grim find by a group of YouTubers.
I just hope that they find some comfort and some relief.
The bones they discovered in Quebec, believed to be from a man missing for more than 30 years. The latest on the driver of a vehicle that plowed into a crowd outside a Los Angeles nightclub. Plus, a high-speed festival. A roaring day of races hit the streets as thousands gather for Indy Toronto.
Global National, reporting tonight, Nitu Garcha.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. With less than 2 weeks to go for Canada to make a trade deal with the U.S., the Prime Minister and Premiers are set to tackle the issue during a 3-day meeting in Ontario. U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to impose a 35% tariff on imported Canadian goods unless a trade agreement is reached by August 1st. But as Mackenzie Gray reports, Trump's Commerce Secretary is making it clear the U.S. is firmly committed to imposing substantial levies if American demands are not met.
It's tariff talk that we've heard before.
Canada is not open to us. They need to open their market. Unless they're willing to open their market, they're going to pay a tariff. That's a simple message the president has.
But what Canada isn't open to wasn't made clear by the Commerce Secretary. His own Trade Department said that in 2024, Canada was the top destination for U.S. exports. One long-standing complaint from the Trump administration, Canadian supply management. Despite the fact that U.S. dairy farmers can send 50 billion liters of milk to Canada annually before any tariffs kick in, a threshold that's never been exceeded. But regardless of the rationale, it seems like tariffs are coming.
The president said, look, unless you stop this fentanyl and close the border, we're just going to keep tariffs.
Trump has made a habit of contradicting what Howard Lutnick has previously said, but this time the message was quickly amplified from an official White House Twitter account. Lutnick's comments back up what the Prime Minister had said earlier this week, that no country so far has been able to escape U.S. tariffs.
We believe in free trade. We believe that the best arrangements would be low tariffs.
Although what Trump is threatening isn't low. A 35% tariff on non-free trade goods from Canada is promised for August 1st, which will hit a quarter of all Canada-U.S. trade. But that's likely just a warm-up to renegotiating the free trade deal that Trump struck back in 2018.
It makes perfect sense for the president to renegotiate it. He wants to protect American jobs. He doesn't want cars built in Canada or Mexico when they could be built in Michigan and Ohio.
So far, the Canadian government under Mark Carney has limited retaliation against the Americans, a move that the Premier of Saskatchewan hopes continues if the 35% tariff does come into force.
Retaliatory tariffs are not the answer. The answer does need to be to find our way through to a proper trade agreement.
Scott Moe and the other premiers are set to meet Monday in Muskoka, Ontario, Nithu, for a 3-day summit with Mark Carney joining the First Ministers on Tuesday.
All right, Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa. Thanks, Mackenzie. How the world does business has been in a bit of a transition because of President Trump and his tariffs. It's made Canada rethink shipping and trade with renewed focus, particularly the potential of Churchill in northern Manitoba, a subarctic port town that sits on the shores of Hudson Bay. Even before the tariff turmoil, the railway to the town and its deep sea port were getting ready to lead a new era of global trade. Melissa Ridgen reports.
Churchill, Manitoba is known worldwide as a travel destination where you can see polar bears in the wild, chill with beluga whales, and take in the wonder of the Northern Lights. But with world trade in upheaval, this town on the shores of Hudson Bay is on the brink of a new era. International shipping Mecca. The Arctic Gateway Group is a partnership of 29 First Nations and 12 northern Manitoba communities. They took over the port at Churchill and the Hudson Bay Railway that fell into disrepair under previous ownership.
We have the Port of Churchill, which is an established and functioning port, something that's operating today. We have a rail line that's connecting the port to the rest of North America, and a town site that has infrastructure and community centers and hospitals and everything else that's there to support up to 5,000 people, and the population today is under 1,000. We also have an airport in Churchill with a 9,200-foot runway capable of handling any transport aircraft in the world.
Churchill has the only deep-water seaport in North America, with rail access through the prairies and direct access to the Arctic Ocean. This means a shorter shipping route to European and Asian markets.
At Churchill, construction is actually completed on a new critical mineral storage facility. With this, we've tripled the amount of storage capacity we have for critical minerals and other bulk materials. Churchill is ready to be part of Canada's critical mineral solution, helping producers move their products to markets efficiently.
This Arctic politics expert says a working railroad and beefed-up port are a good start.
You also have to increase your capability of your Coast Guard, because if you are going to start shipping out of a northern waterway, and that is what you're talking about, you are going to have the facility to basically respond when winter comes early or leaves late. So that, because for shipping to succeed, you have to have regularity.
For now, though, shipping is limited to warmer months, but with climate change and an increased focus on the Arctic, Churchill's importance may only grow. Melissa Ridgen, Global News, Winnipeg.
Breaking news. A 9-year-old girl from Canada has been found dead in New York after being reported missing. According to state police, Melina Fertolin's father, Luciano Fertolin, called police Saturday claiming she was kidnapped, sparking an Amber Alert and a wide-scale search. After discovering inconsistencies in the father's account, investigators found her body and now say there's no indication of abduction and that the investigation is ongoing. In Newfoundland and Labrador, the entire town of Musgrave Harbor was ordered out this morning with a wildfire now dangerously close to the community. The fire was detected just last night. Strong winds have pushed it within about a kilometre away from the town, forcing hundreds of residents to flee. All 4 of the province's water bombers are now targeting the blaze. It's unclear how large the fire ground is, but crews are hoping shifting winds and rain in the forecast could help slow its growth. For the second time in about a week, a dive team has discovered a body in a river in Quebec. Human remains were found in a submerged vehicle northwest of Montreal. They're believed to belong to a man who went missing in 1988. Dan Spector reports on the finding and the unique team that's solving decades-old mysteries.
Deep beneath the dark waters of the Rivière des Mille Îles just might be the key to a mystery that's kept an entire family guessing for almost 40 years. A dive team from Australia and the United States believes it has discovered the remains of Robert Saint-Louis.
And I just hope that they find some comfort and some relief with the fact that we were able to bring him home today.
Robert Saint-Louis' 5 children have been wondering what happened to their father since he left their home in Laval on June 14, 1988 and never returned. He took his 1980 Jeep Cherokee and vanished. Stéphane Luce advocates for families of missing and murdered people whose cases remain unsolved. He got in touch with Bill McIntosh and his team at Exploring with a Mission. Their specialty is tracking down vehicles underwater.
We travel all over the world finding missing persons that are cold cases that have been lost for years, where their families are looking for answers.
Today is a great surprise with the coming of that team from the U.S.
Saint Louis would regularly fish in these waters. His home was just on the other side of the river.
What are we searching for?
Yeah, what?
Cars.
McIntosh, a military trainer, and his diver colleague Dan, a former police officer, began sweeping the area with sonar on Saturday. Sunday morning, they say they found a Jeep Cherokee matching the description of the one Saint Louis had in 1988. Inside, human bones.
The fact that we found human remains in the vehicle with one grab tells you that he's still there.
Earlier this month, Exploring with a Mission found a car belonging to Yvon Guérin in Pierreville, Quebec. He'd been missing since 2014. They also found another in Long Island recently.
We've found a total of 9 cars and brought home 3 people.
The St. Louis family did not want to speak on camera, saying they'll wait until DNA testing confirms their father has been found.
Big hugs, that's what it's about. She called me the big American bear.
Police are now working out plans to send in divers and then tow the vehicle out of the water. Dan Spector, Global News, de Montagne, Quebec.
In Los Angeles, a 29-year-old man is in police custody. He's accused of driving a car into a crowd outside a nightclub early Saturday, injuring at least 30 people, some who remain in critical condition. The suspect is also recovering after police say he was attacked and beaten before he was shot. Candace Cole has more.
He just smacked everybody, bro.
Panic and confusion erupted outside this Los Angeles nightclub after a man driving this Nissan Versa plowed into a crowd of people standing near a taco stand, injuring some 31 people around 2 a.m. Saturday.
It's crazy because people everywhere laying down, cautious, people bleeding out and stuff.
According to witnesses, the driver, identified by police as 29-year-old Fernando Ramirez, had just been kicked out of the Vermont nightclub in East Hollywood for intoxication and being disruptive. They say he drove past the club, made a U-turn, and plowed into the crowd of people. Then bystanders taking matters into their own hands.
They shot him.
Witnesses say after the car came to a stop, the crowd dragged the driver out of the car. That's when someone grabbed a gun and shot him.
I live over here and I heard the gunshot, looked out, saw the guy crash into the thing, ran over, seen somebody EMT. When I got over there was one assessed with a gunshot to the leg.
Los Angeles police say the driver appears to have acted intentionally, but other accounts suggest that may not have been the case.
Apparently, there was a vehicle that had somebody that lost consciousness inside the vehicle, drove into a taco cart, and then ultimately ran into a large number of people who were outside a club in East Hollywood.
Ramirez now facing possible attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon charges. Police say
we do not have a motive. Anything that I would say at this point is speculation.
In a statement, the nightclub says we are deeply saddened and that they are working closely with law enforcement. The shooter remains on the loose. Candace Cole, Global News, Washington.
Israel has issued new evacuation warnings for areas of central Gaza. Palestinians are fleeing their homes and shelters in Deir Ibalah, one of the few areas where Israel's military has rarely sent in ground troops. Israel believes surviving hostages are being held there. Hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians have also sought shelter there. In northern Gaza, health officials say the IDF has killed at least 67 people waiting for aid. The UN World Food Program says its 25-truck convoy encountered massive crowds of hungry civilians, which came under gunfire. The IDF claims it fired warning shots to remove what it called an immediate threat. Health authorities say 88 people were killed by Israeli gunfire and airstrikes across Gaza today. The UN Relief and Works Agency is calling on Israel to end restrictions and blockades on life-saving supplies. In a statement, it said the Israeli authorities are starving civilians in Gaza. Among them are 1 million children. The stark warning comes as a Palestinian family mourns the death of a newborn baby. Health officials say the 3-month-old infant died from a lack of baby formula. His mother, also suffering from malnutrition, was unable to breastfeed him. Hospital staff say they're receiving an increasing amount of malnourished children in recent months. Syria's fragile ceasefire appears to be holding following days of sectarian violence in the country's south. The fledgling government says Syrian forces have been deployed near the city of Sweda, blocking the entry of armed Bedouin militia who have been targeting the Druze minority, and that deadly clashes and kidnappings have stopped. Hundreds of people were killed during the week-long clashes and hundreds more displaced. The government sent in troops last week to quell the fighting, but was accused of widespread violations against the Druze and saw Israel pummel Damascus with airstrikes. A deadly fire on a ferry off the coast of Indonesia. Coming up, the terrifying scenes on board as hundreds of people awaited rescue. South Korea launched a sweeping recovery effort as the country battles heavy rain and deadly flooding. The confirmed number of deaths from the 5-day deluge has climbed to 17. There are at least 11 people unaccounted for. Nearly 10,000 people have fled their homes since the heavy rains began on Wednesday. Hong Kong issued its highest tropical cyclone warning as a typhoon battered the city. The sixth typhoon of the year brought heavy showers, sea swells, and sustained winds of about 170 kilometers per hour. Hundreds of flights were grounded. The cyclone weakened to a tropical storm as it made landfall in mainland China. At least 5 people have died and hundreds more rescued after a ferry caught fire off the coast of Indonesia's Sulawesi Island.
Monitor ini kami mohon bantuan.
Those on board the ship were seen diving into the water with life jackets, some with young children, to try and escape the billowing smoke and towering flames. In total, 284 passengers and crew were rescued by the Indonesian Navy and local fishermen. The cause is unknown. In Vietnam, relatives are in mourning following Saturday's tourist boat tragedy. At least 35 people are known to have died after the vessel capsized during a violent thunderstorm that hit Halong Bay. Rescuers are scrambling to find dozens of people still missing. 53 people were on board when the boat overturned. Ahead, Antarctic ice frozen more than 1 million years ago. Why it could be key to understanding today's climate. In the UK, researchers are carefully studying ice extracted from deep below Antarctica's surface. Samples said to be some of the oldest ever retrieved from the continent, dating back to more than 1 million years ago. As Vincent McAvinny reports, they offer important clues to how our climate is changing today.
The world's oldest ice, drilled from over 1.5 miles beneath Antarctica's surface, being prepared not for a drink, but to travel thousands of miles to the UK for study. It's thought this water froze roughly 1.5 million years ago. Scientists in Cambridge are hoping to unlock new information, which could revolutionise what we know about climate change. But first, they'll have to melt it.
In Antarctica, when the snow falls, it doesn't melt, so it accumulates and it forms layer upon layer over millions of years. We really are exploring a completely unknown time in our history, and what we're hoping is we're going to unlock all these amazing secrets.
It's hoped the data provided from air bubbles, ancient dust, volcanic ash, and even tiny marine algae in the core could help us to understand how the Earth's climate has changed over a much longer time frame.
So the current oldest ice core that we have goes back 800,000 years, and that's a fantastic record. But actually, we're interested in that period prior to 1 million years ago, because during that time, there's evidence to suggest that the ice sheets were actually smaller, sea levels were potentially higher, and CO2 similar to today. So it's a really interesting potential analogue for our future climate.
By shedding light on the link between atmospheric CO2 and climate during a previously uncharted period, the scientists hope we'll be able to better predict our future. Vincent McAvinny, Global News, London.
Next, nothing but summer heat and high octane in Toronto as thousands flock trackside to soak up the annual IndyCar race. Sports fans in Toronto flocked to the lakeshore today to watch some of the world's fastest cars whip around the track. The IndyCar race has been a summer tradition in the city since the 1980s, and as Lexi Benedict reports, fans are revved up.
Engines roar as Toronto shifts into high gear with this year's Honda Indy back in town.
It's a beautiful day in Toronto, great day for racing.
It's all about speed, sound, and spectacle. Toronto's Lakeshore has transformed into a 2.87 kilometer, 11-turn racetrack where rubber is the ride.
It's huge. I mean, this is the 37th edition of this race, dating back to 1986, and I feel like it's really become part of the sports fabric of the town, and obviously, great economic impact to Toronto.
And the main thread is
the big race, the NTT IndyCar Series, which is our headlining event.
How are you feeling today?
Feeling great. Weather's good. The rain held off.
excited to see the race.
The cars are going fast. We're having fun.
Man, it's the best time of the year for Toronto race fans. It's the heart of the city right now.
Tens of thousands taking in all the action and sound.
What's it like to hear all of the cars go by?
Loud. It's loud, very loud.
Of cars going full throttle down the straightaways.
At their top speed, about 160 miles per hour. So yeah, they get moving pretty good.
The energy's electric.
Yeah, we feel the adrenaline too, like you hear it.
An annual tradition for many in the city.
Oh, we're excited. Yeah. We always look forward to it every year. Yeah, we're both here with both boys. They really enjoy watching racing on TV as well, so they're really excited to be here.
What's your favorite thing about being here today?
Seeing the cars go like around. And yeah, I think cars are cool.
And winning the Grand Prix of Toronto was Aero McLaren driver Pato Award.
It feels, pretty special in a place that has arguably been probably one of the biggest headaches every single year that we come here. So it just feels good.
It's just a great atmosphere here in Toronto always, every single year. That's why we're back again this year, because it's just an awesome time every single time.
Lexi Benedict, Global News.
And that is Global National for this Sunday. I'm Neetu Garcha. Tonight's Your Canada is a vibrant display from Vancouver last night. The city's annual Celebration of Light fireworks competition kicked off Saturday, dazzling onlookers on Vancouver's beaches. The festival usually features displays by teams from around the world, but for the first time, it's an all-Canadian slate this year, with last night's show courtesy of a team from Yukon. Quebec and Nova Scotia will show off their chops later this week. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.